The door to the recording studio slowly opens and in walks television's own George Clooney. He's eager to provide a special celebrity guest voice to his new favorite show, South Park. Trey Parker and Matt Stone hand this handsome celebrity the script, and like the professional he is, Mr. Clooney delivers every line with comedic perfection. But these weren't exactly lines of dialogue, these were barks and yips. That's right, this really famous person was hired to play just a dog. Stan's gay dog, to be exact. George Clooney gets the joke. He's willing to get silly and is totally fine bringing out his inner goofball. The creators of South Park and the Coen brothers understand this, as well as many other talented filmmakers. George uses his celebrity status for various reasons: to get political, to get charitable, to make money, and to make us laugh, even when he's the butt of the joke. Probably the funniest joke ever told about George Clooney came from the twisted mind of Tina Fey at the Golden Globes.
George Clooney married Amal Alamuddin this year. Amal is a human rights lawyer who worked on the Enron case, was an advisor to Kofi Annan regarding Syria, and was selected for a 3-person UN commission investigating rules of war violations in the Gaza Strip. So tonight, her husband is getting a Lifetime Achievement Award.
His stupid little smirk can convince anyone to join him on any adventure, and this beautiful prankster has been on plenty of adventures. But these days, it feels like George Clooney is known more for his political opinions than his acting career. So it makes me wonder, what is he really up to now? Yeah, what the f*** happened to George Clooney? But to truly understand what the f*** happened to George Clooney, we must begin at the beginning, and the beginning began when he was born on his birthday, 1961, Kentucky. In the before times, he was perceived as just a television actor who would never, ever make it onto that silver screen. For some reason, nobody had faith in this sitcom stud. Yeah, in hindsight, he has movie star written all over him. But yeah, George Clooney could first be seen on The Facts of Life in the late 1980s. And he was featured on one of the greatest sitcoms ever made, Roseanne, when it first became the #1 show on television. Clooney has long been known as a prankster, a practical joker, and Roseanne Barr was not immune to his shenanigans. Rumor has it that while Clooney was on set, he took a Polaroid photograph of his Batman and his Robins, his Nespresso machine, his Ocean's 11 or 12 or 13, wow. His penis is what I mean, his sexual reproductive organ. Yeah, that's right, legend has it he took that Polaroid and it got passed around to everybody and eventually made it on Roseanne's refrigerator. It would probably get George #MeToo'd nowadays, but back then, it was just a harmless, hilarious penis. So yeah, from evidence of his body to bodies of evidence in the early 90s, then there was a show called Sisters before his breakout television show on ER. This was a groundbreaking dramatic series that got him much deserved attention. But for some reason, he was still seen as just a TV actor, back when that was considered a putdown. For a while, Clooney's only feature film of note was when he and his gorgeous hair appeared in 1988's Return of the Killer Tomatoes, until he landed his next gig in the comedy One Fine Day in 1996. Though he was credited as, and I swear I'm not making this up, lip-syncing transvestite in 1993's The Harvest, which is probably his finest performance yet. Like I said, George Clooney has never been afraid to tap into his comedic side, and even his dramas often have shades of humor. But as you know, he was a mega supporter of the animated series South Park, even before it was picked up by Comedy Central. And in addition to playing Sparky the gay dog, he would also appear as a doctor in South Park Bigger, Longer, Uncut, the movie, which was an obvious nod to his iconic character on ER. But the boys of South Park were not done with him yet, but we'll get to that later. It seems kind of crazy now, but it was considered a large risk for director Robert Rodriguez to cast television actor George Clooney as his leading man for the ambitious 1996 action horror From Dusk Till Dawn. But the risk of hiring the ER guy definitely paid off, as this movie From Dusk Till Dawn still stands as one of Rodriguez's and George Clooney's best efforts. So yeah, George Clooney, he was really awesome standing alongside Quentin Tarantino fighting these vampire bats. But then he was really not awesome standing next to Robin becoming a fighting bat in Batman and Robin. I can actually appreciate this movie Batman and Robin for its style, but it does have way too much silliness and not nearly enough substance. After the disappointment that was Batman, George Clooney was very desperate to search for a great screenplay, which he found with the film Out of Sight. The original director actually quit the film after George Clooney was cast, due to George, quote, not being a movie star. But a brand new director was soon brought in, a fresh talent who goes by the name of Steven Soderbergh. Or Soderbergh? I'm sure either one is fine. While playing this super cool bank robber, Clooney got to watch and learn from this master filmmaker, and a great creative partnership was formed. The early 2000s saw George Clooney at the peak of his powers. It was a perfect storm, if you will. He had finally proven to the world that his talented pretty face was movie star material, and he absolutely secured his legacy as a top leading man of that moment when he led all of his famous friends into one of his most beloved films. I feel like George Clooney's run as Danny Ocean in the Steven Soderbergh Ocean franchise, and this does not include Ocean's 8 because f*** that movie. This includes 2001's Ocean's 11, 2004's Ocean's 12, and 2007's Ocean's 13. This character and this franchise deserve its own mention for how it aligns with the growth of Clooney's career. As the series went on, Clooney went from, hey, it's that guy from ER, to the highest paid actor in Hollywood. The loaded ensemble cast oozes charisma and class all over the screen, and of course, George Clooney controls them all with that smirky smile. He just smiles at you and you're like, sure, I'll rob a casino with you, George, what do you need?
Before we continue with our video, here's a reminder to click the Store tab on any of our JoBlo channels and browse our collection of the latest and freshest designs in our merch store. Go get you some.
He made his directorial debut in the year 2002 with a very unique and interesting film called Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. For a first-time director, he got a lot out of his fellow actors because, you know, they're his friends. He was able to convince Drew Barrymore and Julia Roberts to work for scale, and Brad Pitt and Matt Damon to cameo for free. It didn't exactly move mountains, but it showed the industry that Clooney did have a unique vision as a director, and was a talent to watch behind the camera. Next up, George Clooney wrote, directed, and starred in the excellent historical drama Good Night and Good Luck in 2005, which landed him Oscar nominations for writing and directing. It's a thought-provoking, stylish film about McCarthyism, shot in a beautiful black and white that really captures the frantic moment. You know, the paranoia really seeps in and makes you feel like you're being accused of being a commie. So yeah, after displaying his excellence in writing and directing for Good Night and Good Luck, everybody was really interested in what film George Clooney would do next. What thought-provoking political thriller will he, shove in our face? We were all anticipating it, and we just couldn't wait. What was George gonna do next? What was the director of Good Night and Good Luck gonna do next? Well, he decided to shake things up a bit and give us a romantic comedy period piece football movie called Leatherheads. It actually got them an ESPY award for best sports film, but, it's actually not good. I totally get what George is trying to do. It's an homage to the good old days of Hollywood and how movies used to be made. I totally get it, and totally respect him for trying something new, something completely different than Confessions of a Dangerous Mind and Good Night and Good Luck. But Leatherheads just didn't score a touchdown for me. He would try to impress us again as a director for the film Monuments Men, a World War II drama that has some comedy in it. It's got an amazing cast, but I don't know, it just doesn't click. It's one of those movies that should have been better, but I can't explain how or why. It's just kind of lacking a spirit and a soul, even though the story is incredibly interesting. But director Clooney did receive well-deserved praise for his role as an actor and his role as a director for the TV miniseries Catch-22, which, yeah, is probably perfect material for director Clooney. Even though I do feel like most of his post-Good Night and Good Luck films didn't exactly live up to his potential. Don't get me wrong, I really like Clooney, and I think he's a great filmmaker, just like many other movie stars who made the jump to director. He basically got to go to film school while acting for some of the greats. I'm sure he picked up a lot of cinematic knowledge on the battlefield while working for Terrence Malick in The Thin Red Line, and David O. Russell in Three Kings, once again learning from and teaming up with Soderbergh for The Good German and Solaris. You know, it's a remake of that space movie, and he did another space movie under the brilliant direction of Alfonso Cuarón for Gravity in 2013. It won a lot of Oscars, and yeah, Gravity, it had a real pull on audiences and critics alike. Gravity remains George Clooney's highest grossing and most awarded film, and for good reason. It's one of those movies that make you go, ooh, ah. And spoiler alert, when George floats off to a certain slow and painful death, it makes you go, ooh, ah. But yeah, when it comes to working alongside master filmmakers, George Clooney has always been a favorite of the Coen brothers. And Clooney will always say yes to a Coen role, even without reading the script. The film Oh Brother, Where Art Thou was a star-making turn for him in the year 2000. He was his typical charming, smooth talker that we've all come to know by this time. But this time, he had an accent, which was based on his uncle's voice. And Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, it won him a lot of respect, and it won him a Golden Globe. It's an absolutely brilliant performance. He gets to show off all of his talents, all of his skills, his comedic timing, his gift at physical comedy, and just the way that he delivers dialogue. This could have come off as cartoonish in a bad way, but Clooney and the Coens, they just know how to do it. I'm sure Homer would be proud.
Don't get it, Big Dan.
He would continue to have great chemistry with the Coens, and great chemistry with Catherine Zeta-Jones, in the film Intolerable Cruelty, which, yeah, even though it's the Coens' worst movie, George is still amazing in it. And he's very convincing as he comes unhinged in Burn After Reading. And the Coens perfectly cast him again in Hail Caesar. Similar to his Coen characters, he appeared in the Russo brothers' comic caper flick Welcome to Collinwood, and he voiced Fantastic Mr. Fox in the Fantastic Mr. Fox for Wes Anderson in 2009, taking voice acting to the next level and actually going out into the field and acting out the scenes as these critters. And Clooney absolutely excels in balancing comedy with more conventional drama, like in the film Up in the Air, and the Oscar-winning Alexander Payne flick The Descendants in 2011. He gets to be goofy and he makes you cry. Just look at him run like a silly man in these flip-flops here, and then look at him just cry like a sad man, and it makes you sad. That's what we call acting. Man, that's what we call range. And like many celebrities out there in Hollywood, George has always been a little outspoken about his political beliefs. You can often see him screaming and shouting and conversing about any political issue that's trending at that time. But you do have to admit he is a little more well-spoken than most of those famous talking heads of Hollywood. And the dude, he walks the walk. He's even gotten arrested while protesting. But it is no surprise that Clooney's South Park pals let him know that celebrity activism is kind of lame, and that he's being used as a political puppet by making George one of the main Film Actors Guild puppets in Team America World Police. That's all you need to know about George's politics. He's in Team America. George Clooney's passion for politics and, world issues extended into his movie career. And he became well known for his roles in political thrillers and dramas, like The Peacemaker, Failsafe, Michael Clayton, the political satire The Men Who Stare at Goats, The American, and he flexed his actor-director muscles in The Ides of March, and even 2016's Money Monster could fit into this category of Clooney. But it was in the year 2005 with the political thriller Syriana that finally earned him his Oscar as an actor. It was nice to see the darker side of Clooney, and he put on some weight to get into character, and gives us one of the greatest examples of cool guy not looking at an explosion that we've ever seen. And it was his Syriana Oscar night that led to another South Park episode where the smug smog from George Clooney's Best Supporting Actor speech would lead to a disastrous perfect storm of satire about celebrity self-righteousness and elitism. Just remember, everybody, celebrities know what's best. We touched on style over substance when it came to Batman and Robin, and all that same criticism can kind of apply to Tomorrowland. Like, it should have been so cool. On paper, Disney's Tomorrowland, directed by Brad Bird, starring George Clooney, it should have been a massive hit. It should have led to a franchise, honestly. But no, it frickin' failed, and made us all think, has George Clooney lost his star power? At that time, all signs had pointed to yes, and Clooney stepped away from the silver screen. After a 4-year hiatus from the movies, he returned with the 2020 sci-fi drama Midnight Sky, which he also directed, and he briefly returned in a spoiler alert cameo for The Flash, becoming Bruce Wayne again, which should have been the coolest thing ever, and it should have redeemed him, but it wasn't. I actually totally forgot about this George Clooney cameo. This should have changed Hollywood right here, but no, it didn't. It did nothing. It was gone in a flash. I'm sorry. But Clooney did voice another spaceman in 2024's if you care about that. So that's the thing with George Clooney. He's still making films, he's still working hard, but his projects just aren't affecting the culture and causing a fun stir. They're not really even starting conversations like they used to. Like, seriously, who cares about George Clooney and Julia Roberts squeezing what's left of their star power into another romantic comedy, like Ticket to Paradise? Which, yeah, actually, it made money, but that's not the point, because nobody remembers Ticket to Paradise. Nobody will ever remember Ticket to Paradise. It did its thing, and now it's gone like a fart in the wind. And it's sad to say that this kind of goes for Clooney's recent directorial efforts as well. I'm sure The Tinder Bar and The Boys in the Boat are decent flicks, but I just don't care. And I consider myself a Clooney fan, especially his work as a director. But there is hope on the horizon. Coming up, he's set to star in Wolves opposite Brad Pitt, and the trailer actually looks really promising. Brad Pitt, George Clooney, they got some Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid stuff going on there. I like that chemistry. But lately, we just really haven't seen Clooney at the movies. I've actually only seen him pop up in Nespresso commercials, which I believe he got a cool $40 million for.
Nespresso. What else?
He's also, like a dad who's happily married, and he doesn't really need any more Hollywood BS. But he does seem to still want to deal with some Washington, D.C. BS, becoming one of many famous people who have turned their backs on Joe Biden by penning a New York Times op-ed calling the president unfit for office, just mere weeks after throwing him the mother of all fundraisers, and Julia Roberts co-starred. The Democrat Party, they're partying like it's 1999, and they're bringing out these young, hip, fresh, cool celebrities like George Clooney and Julia Roberts. Yeah, that's exactly how we're gonna rock the vote. But yeah, you heard that right. Our boy George hosted a record-breaking cash bash for everybody's favorite president, Joseph Robinette Biden. But then George Clooney, he did a little flippity-flop and declared to the world that the guy shouldn't run for president. George Clooney was all like, yeah, this guy, he's great. And then he met him and he was like, oh no. So yeah, talk about a plot twist. And yeah, everybody's other favorite president ever, Donald J. Trump, truthed about it on The Truth. So now fake movie actor George Clooney, who never came close to making a great movie, is getting into the act. He's turned on Crooked Joe, like the rats they both are. What does Clooney know about anything? So whether you desperately need and love George, like Joe Biden, or you think that he never came close to making a great movie, like Donald Trump, it cannot be denied that Clooney has made his mark on the film business. And he was also able to squeeze his way into the political conversation a bit too. You can see this guy dissing Fox News or dancing Fox moves. But I believe that it was his Oh Brother co-star, Tim Blake Nelson, who said it best, calling George an industry.
Do you still keep in touch with any of those guys?
Yeah. Turturro more, because George is... every time I interact with George, it's great, but he's an industry.
Yeah.
In addition to his acting, he's also a director and a producer, and he does a lot of eleemosynary work and, work with and he's got this incredible wife and family now, and he's got a spirits company, so
nobody should give a f*** about what the f*** happened to George Clooney, because he's doing just fine.